Hello and welcome to today's video, the vinyl finds for October 2024, split into two. This video is going to be on new vinyl, i.e. new releases, because there's a few of them, and then I'll do a second part which will be the used vinyl, and a little bit of a response video as well to David Atkinson's kind of mini rant, where he talks about a joint experience we had in a primarily used record shop. So I'll talk about that stuff in the used ones, but today's video is all about the new stuff. So and the reason there's a little bit of new stuff is it was National Album Day in the UK, and I was quite surprised actually looking at some of the videos that because a fairly popular band from Liverpool released something, it generated a huge amount of publicity. And there's a lot of videos saying I've no idea what National Album Day is, and it's been running in the UK I think for 4 or 5 years, and it's always worth looking into, because every now and again, in amongst some fairly generic coloured vinyl reissues, every now and again there is the odd pearl of stuff that maybe hadn't been issued before on vinyl. So I think last year there was some things like Idlewild, good little indie band, who else? Teenage Fan Club, I think, have been used a few times. So it's normally something interesting to look out for. So I'll go through a couple of the National Album Day stuff that I picked up. Obviously I'm going to show, the first record I'm going to show is probably for me was the pick of the bunch. That I was, really pleased to see hundreds of YouTube videos on this band from Liverpool, who of course everybody knows. And one of the great albums of all time, actually, I think this is. So first time on vinyl. I think my good friend Jack up in Scotland will, at the Vinyl Voyage, will second me on this one. One of the great bands of the UK, and probably one of the best ever Liverpool bands. Phenomenally popular, sold millions of copies. And this is Shack with HMS Fable. Obviously I'm being a little bit sarcastic because this one flew under the radar, and I haven't seen much talk about it. So as soon as the National Album Day stuff was announced, I ordered this pretty pronto off Rough Trade, who delivered it. It comes with a nice little booklet with all the words and some photos and stuff like that. And there was a black vinyl version, and I opted for the rather pretty blue vinyl version. And for those that haven't heard of Shack, they are a fabulous band. They originally were two brothers, the Head brothers. I'll show that again. They were originally in the Pale Fountains, then did Shack. Had all kinds of woe and misfortune, very complicated kind of little story. This was their first, I think, album on what was a major label, which was London Records. And it just unfortunately missed the Britpop boom and didn't do as well as it should have done. I originally bought this as a 99p CD about a year or so after it had come out, and the reviews had been good. I thought I'll take a punt, and it's to this day it's probably the best pound I ever spent. There's some spin-off things, the Magical World of the Strands, I think, and then Michael Head is also doing some solo stuff as well. But if you haven't heard one album from the 90s, this is the one to check out. If you like good guitar, pop, slight lyrical edge, this is the one. It's a fabulous album. I'm really glad to see it. So I think in terms of the Shack catalogue, there's only about, I think, 5 studio albums. So this has come out the first time on vinyl, and they reissued the follow-up to this as well last year. So that's 2 out of the 5. So hopefully we'll get the full catalogue out. I think their second album, Water Pistol, is also a great album. Got them on CD, hard to get hold of. But if you like some good Liverpudlian rock, very much if you like the Lars, you'll love this. Give Shack a try. So that's, without a shadow of a doubt, that's probably my reissue of the year. Fabulous album, glad to have that on vinyl. Now the next one you may have heard of, little band from Liverpool, didn't do that well, fairly obscure, and not a lot of publicity for this one, but if you like the Searchers, you might like this. So this is a nice white vinyl copy, and little unknown band from Liverpool, or the Beatles, like I say. Now, they're unlucky not to catch on, really, but they're good little bands, and you may not have seen that one before, so I thought I'd show that, but obviously I'm not being serious. That caused a mini internet meltdown when that got announced. It was announced very, very late. I think lots of Beatles fans in the UK ran out to HMV to buy a copy for 40 quid, and Amazon, bless them, at 8:30 on Saturday morning, dumped it on there for £28. And the one good thing about National Album Days is you don't necessarily have to leg it to the shops to get these. They do crop up online. So all of mine were online purchases, because I've been involved in it for years. I kind of know that if you hang back a bit and look at what comes out, some things do kind of prop up online, and most of them are a bit cheaper than having to go to the shops. So I think that was 28 quid on Amazon. I actually got mine from Assay Records up in Edinburgh. Great little shop. They have a loyalty scheme, and when this was announced, I thought, I wonder if I've got any loyalty points in my Assay account, and sure enough, I'd got enough to buy this, and they also were doing it far cheaper than the other internet sites were doing, so it was a good little deal. And then obviously it was 28 quid on Amazon, shot up to 40 quid now. But a white vinyl Hard Day's Night. For me, obviously I've got quite a few copies of Hard Day's Night, but I haven't got a 2009 Stereo Master, which is what that one is, so that was quite good. Another one that was cheap as chips on pre-order, if you got in quick as soon as the titles were announced, was this one. Judas Priest, bit of metal. For those that don't know, the theme for November on the channel is metal and hard rock, so the Priest may well feature. But look at that, that's a nice splatter vinyl of one of their most iconic albums, the wonderful British Steel. So I think that was 20 quid. So again, if you shop around for these National Album Day stuff, you can pick up some of them a little bit cheaper than others. And if there's something you're a bit 50-50 on, hold fire, because I can tell you now, a lot of last year's titles, and I'll show you one in a minute, were quite discounted in the run-up to this year's kind of stuff. And I found a few that I've paid, 20-30 quid for, that I've spotted now for 10-12 quid. So if there's something you're a bit on the fence about, hold fire, because you might get a bargain, because I think they're pressed in decent numbers. So British Steel. And the final one I got this at the death. I wasn't going to bother with this because I've got the albums before it, I've got the albums after it, and I've got this on CD, and it's not one of my favourite albums, although I did re-listen to it, and as time's been kind to it. But it's the one I'm missing. It's a 90s album, or very early 2000s, hard as something to get hold of on vinyl. So this was Stereophonics' third album. And this one they kind of mellow out. I'm a big fan of their debut album, and they then kind of got progressively kind of mellower, and then they did kind of have a rejuvenation around the Dakota single. That was a great song in it. But yeah, nice one, green vinyl. And the reason I bought this is it did do a little price drop. I think on possibly the Sunday after the Saturday, I was keeping an eye on things. It plummeted by about a 5, and I thought, you know what, I'll get that. Also, I do know that the two before this came out, it's National Album Day kind of exclusives, and they did sell out and are quite hard to get. So yeah, that completes, I think, if not all of the Stereophonics, most of them on vinyl now. So pleased with that. Now, I mentioned that some dropped in price from last year. I can't remember. This wasn't a 2023. It's 2022's National Album Day, and I bought this because might as well show you now. So it's the Mighty The with Soul Mining. Now I could have sworn I'd got a copy of this on CD, but when I was flicking through my CDs, I haven't. So that was a bit of a bonus. That was about 15 quid, I think. Quite a hard album to get. It's got the song that we all know, which is This Is The Day. But it's a really, really good album. Uncertain Smiles on there as well. So I saw with my friend Mark and a subscriber who at gunpoint said, if you want that cheese cob, you will subscribe to my channel. So he had to in the pub, but he'd got a ticket going spare, so I went to Wolverhampton to watch there, and he excellent, good gig, new album, and it was trailed as this, so it was, you knew this was coming, but he basically said, can you put your phones away, can you keep quiet? First off is the new album in full, then we'll have a little break, and then we'll do the greatest hits kind of bit after. So it's a really good gig, and his voice is phenomenal. But this is an album that's somehow passed me by. I thought I'd got it, but I hadn't. The other one I need is Dogs of Lust. I could do with that on CD or vinyl, but pleased to have that. And his stuff is really hard to get, so I'm hoping they do carry on reissuing some of the Matt Johnson back catalogue. So not many more to go now. So reissue. So one of my absolute favourite bands of the 90s were the wonderful Suede, and in 1994, against all odds, they released their kind of mini masterpiece. So this is the 30th anniversary edition of Dogman Star, half speed mastered with slightly reimagined artwork. They've made the window more bright and things like that. Got a nice little essay in the middle, and the inner sleeves are different as well. Black vinyl. This is not the first copy of this I've got on vinyl, and I've kind of bought it again because, I'll be frank, the other versions are not great. Get a nice little booklet. I have to be careful here because there's a bit of nudity, so I'll start with the back and I'll show you the middle. I'll have to leave the front out. But yeah, some of the images that were originally used in that art were blowing up. But it's a fabulous album, that, isn't it? So Bernard Butler's final album for Suede. The fact that they managed to come back after this is phenomenal. But if you want a 1990s classic, Dogman Star, Suede from 1994 is the one. And stand by, there may be something coming up on Suede in the future on the channel. So yes, that was a reissue. Another reissue was the debut solo album by Johnny Marr, and it's they've redone the cover, so it didn't look like that when it first came out. It had the whole band on it on the original image, but it's slightly expanded, and cool little album. So that was his band at the time. So yes, so I think normal black vinyl. So I think the only other Johnny Marr solo album on vinyl missing is The Messenger. I've got all the others, but I've got them on CD. But nice one to get. Very rocky, that. You could see, I was reading some interviews around this time, he almost joined Oasis before Jem Archer. I think he was in he said, if you can't find anyone, I'll step in. So yeah, and you can see why, because on this, you could imagine these songs with a good singer would be really good. I don't want to be too disparaging about Johnny Marr singing, but you know, there's a reason Morrissey was needed. So good album there. And then a couple of cheapies now. So this one, I was well pleased with this. This dropped to, I think, about 10 quid. So I'll show you the cover. So Brian Ferry's Taxi album. But this was actually Record Store Day yellow vinyl jobby. And it was on Amazon for a tenner. So again, if you saw one of my last videos, I said, oh great, I've got all the Brian Ferry I need. I've got all the 80s, all the 70s. I've got some of the best ofs, and then this popped up, and this was his first solo album of the 90s. It's a bit of a covers album, but I thought, you know, you can't go wrong with Brian Ferry, can you? It's always quality. Now, 2 to go. The next one is I've just done a big ranking video on them, the Cult. So I've got a copy of this already. This is their debut album, but this had a price drop. I don't think it was on Amazon. It was on was it Rough Trade? I think it was Rough Trade, and it dropped like a stone, to be fair. My original Cult Dreamtime album is, yes, 40 years old. So I thought maybe a slightly less well-loved copy was needed. So yes, I love the Cult. So that's a great album. So if you want to start somewhere with the Cult, you know, the first 2 can't be beaten. So that's great. So that's in 1984. And just to make me feel really, really old, I then picked up a box set, and this was the only thing I bought on Amazon Prime's Prime Day. Now, in the 1980s, I absolutely loved this band. I saw them live a couple of times. They lost their singer in 1988, and whilst I still liked the band after that, I loved them before that. So for me, if there's an era of a band that should always be cast in kind of golden light, it would be the Fish era of Marillion. And believe it or not, this is I think it's got 1, 2... So it's got 3 live albums, 1 concert over 3 albums, and the 2021 remix of the album, which isn't bad actually. They do definitely improve the sound of this album on this one. Sometimes remixes can be a bit 50-50, but this is actually a good one. So yes, I had already got the main album on vinyl, but how could I not buy one of my favourite albums by one of my favourite bands? for 20 quid on Amazon's Prime's UK deals. So nice lift off box. That was the sticker that came with it. Get a nice decent little booklet actually, which there is one advantage of buying the vinyl over the CD version is you do actually get, it's easier to read, and as you get older, believe you me, that becomes more of an issue. But this, I still think this on its day could be my favourite Marillion album. I played this to death in 1984 when it came out. And as I say, you've got the full concert from I think you used some of it on the Reel to Reel live album, but this is the full gig at the Spectrum Montreal in Canada, 20th of June 1984. Look at the track list in here: Assassin, Punch and Judy, Jigsaw, Script for a Jesterteer, Chelsea Monday. And then one of my absolute favourite songs of theirs is Emil Lies, Cinderella Search was the B-side. And the Fugazi album also had another classic in Incubus, that's on here, charting the single He Knows You Know, Fugazi, Forgotten Sons, and then the 1-2 punch at the end of Garden Party, Market Square Hero. So brilliant little box set. I bought these on CD, to be fair, because they did a nice series of these, and the vinyl albums I thought were a little bit expensive when they first come out, but if you see them for that kind of price, you can't go wrong. But the main album, to this day, one of my favourite Marillion albums, but I have to say I love all four of those Fish Era albums. But I've got a soft spot for this. I do like the fact that on the artwork they put like some of the little things that the band will listen to. So the debut album has some pictures of albums and stuff, and this one does the same. So if you look very closely, you can see things like the wall on there and stuff like that. Great album, Fish Era Marillion. And that was October's new vinyl finds. So yeah, so part 2 of this video will come shortly, and that is the used vinyl, of which there is here. And I did particularly well. I found a Everything's a Fiver deal in a shop, but there was a tale to tell, so I'll go through that into more detail on the next one. And I will respond to David's kind of comments around our joint visit to a local record shop to him. And I've been to a couple of new record shops as well recently, and kind of different experiences. So I'm going to talk on the next one about what it is you look for in record shops, particularly for used vinyl, because new stuff I tend to buy online, and the reason that is it's either in a sale or it's a pre-order and it's announced 3 or 4 months before it comes out, and it's normally limited or coloured or something like that. So you end up pre-ordering it. So I rarely go into a record shop and buy something new, very rarely, unless it's in the sale or it's something for whatever reason I missed at the time. So yeah, I'll talk about that and what makes the perfect, for me, record shop, and it'd be interesting to see what other people feel. But I hope you enjoy the new stuff there. If there is one album of all of those you should rush out and buy, it's this one, The Mighty Shack, HMS Fable, Liverpool's second best kept secret after the Lars, I think. But yeah, if you want to go and buy a new album, a reissue, this gets the Gav Axman's Spin's seal of approval. It's a classic, and more people shouldn't have it. So but yes, and there you go. See you on the next one.